This is the Cruz Report. This is episode number 8. I'm here with one of the most interesting men I've met in a long time, Mr. Charles German. Charles, we actually met through the store. So we actually met at the old store. So Charles was one of our customers at the old store. I didn't know him a ton. He actually left a Garatina at my store for like 6 months. Never came back to get it. Me and Aaron are like, this motherfucker ain't never coming back. And we got the new store. He calls. He's like, yo, you got that Garatina? I'm like, we sure do, buddy. But no, I wanted to interview Charles. Charles is one of the more interesting careers. Good family man. The way he treats his kid. I was just bragging about you before you came out earlier. Like, if I was a kid, because I didn't grow up with a dad. If I was a kid, I would 1,000% want you as a dad.
Yeah, we have fun.
Oh my God, it seems like so much fun. But let's give him a little background, like, growing up, how things were for you growing up, kind of leading up to your career.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Norcross. So
so you're born and raised around here?
Right here. I'm local.
I like it.
This is home. I was born and raised in a home with a sibling, my sister Kirsten. Family was always a big deal.
Mom and dad there?
Always. My
Really?
dad was a stockbroker. My mom was a teacher. So my mom was home all summer long. So we were like the house to go to. Like when we were hungry, 5, 6, 7 boys come piling in. Mom would start shoveling out grilled cheeses, just boom, 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 boom. And that was life, just all growing up. So we were kind of born and raised on the Chattahoochee. So we'd fish and play and swim, and as we got older, we'd sneak out and smoke cigarettes and drink beer and do dumb things that boys do. And and then I get caught and I get stepped on, but that just was what it was.
Boys being boys, man.
Yeah, so Wyatt, my son, we raised the same way. Just go outside, you make mistakes, make errors, and I've always been a firm believer that you don't learn from doing things right.
100%. And I've seen that with you. I've seen times where he's done something in school. Most parents would be like, more upset. I'm the same way with you. Like, the boy threw a shoe. Who cares? Like,
you don't learn from doing things right.
Right.
You learn
100%.
from failure. So we have a weird kind of thought process with parenting that go out and fail, and
I love it, man.
And fail hard, and then come home and tell us how you failed, and we'll tell you how to not fail again. But if you just go out there and you're perfect and you're just straight edge and straight line, you don't learn anything. And
not only that,
at some point you're gonna fail.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're set up for failure if you don't you're not willing to take that risk. So Wyatt's the only child, right?
Correct.
Were there ever any thoughts of any more children? Or you?
Yeah, there was.
It was like boom.
Definitely. Yeah, we planned on having 2 or 3. You
still got time.
And then I'm old. I'm old. My knees hurt. No, you got to the point where I was working way too much, and I kind of blame myself for that. And it's kind of a just kind of a life regret that I put work up there, and you got to make money, you got to move up in your career, but sometimes you got to pause and think about family as well. And I feel like I failed there a bit, So we had Wyatt when we were in California. So
you moved?
Yeah. So we moved to L.A. It was funny. My sister was at the time dating a sound guy.
Okay. This before you got into sound?
Yeah. No, I had no intention of going to film.
Okay.
I had no education, no background in
what
sound
were you
whatsoever.
doing for work before all this sound stuff?
I was doing finance. I was doing finance at a power sports dealership in Athens.
Really?
Yeah. So I was doing F&I at Top Gear Motorsports in Athens, which is gone now. But I got out of that in 2008 when the market kind of fell out.
Yeah.
I was kind of a lost little kid out there, just kind of floating through. I was married at the time. My wife, who's an absolute angel, just kind of stuck by me and rode the rough times, and then we went to L.A. to go camping for Thanksgiving with my sister.
She was living out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's in film also. She's a very, very well-known script supervisor, which is like she's more in charge of making sure things in the script all flow right and there's continuity in scenes.
Really?
Yeah. So she's married to a sound mixer. So I went out there. We went camping and we were talking. I went before the camping trip. We went to a set. I watched what he did, and I was like, man, this seems pretty cool, you know. I got to just kind of help out just here and there, just doing small things. I was like, man, this is pretty sweet gig, you know. I kind of got nosy with some folks on set, just trying to ask them about what they made and the pay structure. And I was like, man, this is pretty good living, you know.
Yeah.
It's a union job, which at the time I'm from Georgia. There's not many unions here. I was like, I don't know about this union thing, but there's health care, there's benefits, there's pensions. I was like, man, this.
Yeah, my ears are perked.
I was like, this is a good ride, you know. So Buck said, hey, we'll just move out, and I will help you. We'll house you. You can stay with us. I'll show you the ropes. You can get in the union, and just see how it goes. So I went home with my wife. I was like, hey, what do you think about that? This is we're in a rut here in Georgia. What do you think? She said, well, it can't be worse than what we're doing right now. We're just kind of floating through. So off I went. My wife stayed here to start just so I kind of test the waters.
Oh wait, so Wyatt was
he was not
okay.
No, he's not even a thought in our eye yet.
Gotcha.
It was maybe 2010. It was in that range.
Okay, so a couple years later after.
Yeah, because we got married in 08. So it was probably 2010ish, something like that. So I just shoot out there. I spent about a year getting into the union, which is not an easy task.
Holy shit! It took you a year to get
in? Tough. It's tough. Yeah, you have in California, you have to get 100 non-union days or 30 union days to join our local, which is not easy. So I got in and started making some real money. I was like, man, this is some like life-changing money all of a sudden.
In the beginning, if you don't mind me asking, when you say you got to get 100 days in, are there days you don't know if they're going to need you today? Is that how it goes?
No, yeah, I was so like I worked as a PA, so I worked as a assistant on film sets. While I was just, I'm trying to get days in sound.
Yeah.
Just to pay the bills, And I got my days. I joined. I started getting some, some days with Buck, and started really, getting some nice paychecks. I was like, man, this is a nice, this is nice living all of a sudden. We were just high on the hog. So we moved out of my sister's place with Buck. We got our own place. My wife moved out. We moved to Valley Village, which was an absolute dump.
Oh, man.
It was terrible. So, funny story about that. If you ever move to L.A.
I will never, but...
Well, if anyone listening does...
Yeah.
And you see a listing that says air conditioning, don't assume it's central AC like you're used to here.
Window units?
Dude, this joint was like a Z-shaped apartment, right? And the doors right here. There's this little living room and kitchens here, and then there's this little Z off here, and here's our bedroom, right? The damn AC unit is at the front door, and it's this little 8x10 piece of shit.
Yeah.
And we had that thing cranked all the time. Like it's LA, it's the Valley.
Yeah.
In the wintertime, the highs are 80. And in the summer, the highs are 110.
Dude, no way.
So I started cranking. Our power bills, whatever, it was stupid. We had a system of what we called ghetto AC.
Fans.
Where we ran fans that shot a path, like a snake through the apartment. Right?
I love it.
With a thermometer in the bedroom. At nighttime, when it was bedtime, the sun's just going down, it's just cooling off. Our bedroom would be 98 degrees.
Oh, dude, I couldn't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it.
So we'd oftentimes sleep in the living room or as close to the AC unit as possible.
In the kitchen floor with a sleep bag.
We did sometimes. We'd have our mattress off the bed. We'd tow it through the whole house and put it there, and it was an experience.
It sounds like it.
So after 8-9 months, my wife said, "Look, next lease, I want central AC. This is not cutting it."
Yeah.
I was like, no shit.
Non-negotiable here.
So we moved to Studio City, had central AC.
Is this anywhere near Hollywood, or is this?
Studio City, yeah. It's a big small town. If that makes sense. There's tons of cities, but it's not that spread out.
Okay.
So we lived at the corner of Laurel Canyon and Ventura Boulevard. So both are pretty famous roads in the old days, and the upbringing of Hollywood and the music scene there kind of stuff. So we lived at a little hot little spot, you know. We had sushi, we had steakhouses, we had ramen, we had every nationality of food within a 5-minute walk. It was awesome. So we're there a long time. Life was good. We decided, you know what, something's not right. Let's add a kid to the mix.
I love it. I love it.
So we do. Now LA sucks. And it's like, oh, dude, like you can't take a kid to sushi. You can't. We had no parents out there. We had no help.
So everybody else was still back here besides your sister.
My parents moved out when Wyatt was a year old. They moved from Georgia to LA to help us out. My sister was pregnant also at the time, so it just made sense. All the kids are there, so here we come. You got it easier, but still, it's not the place you want to be with kids. It was just for us at least.
For sure.
For us, it was just tough. I mean, I'm used to going to the Chattahoochee and fish and swim and.
I was going to ask you, how was now that you're back here and you've lived here and you live there, could you ever see yourself living there even without Wyatt? Or no. Okay, because I mean, I've never been to the West Coast. I've heard how awesome it is, how amazing it is.
But look, I fish, I hunt, I'm outdoors.
That's the city life out there.
You can't do it there.
Yeah.
You can't. I mean, there's no water out there. It doesn't rain. It rains 10 days a year. There's the LA River, which is, I mean, it's a concrete, man-made drainage system.
You ain't eating fish out of that thing.
No, it's terrible. So I mean, it's a pretty place. There's beaches. It's a big kids playground.
Yeah.
It's expensive. So we wanted to focus our money more on our kid and his college fund and just retirement and
So how old was Wyatt when you moved back here? Because he's only he's 12 now,
here,
13?
He's 12 now. So moving back here was not my idea. I was happy at the time. I thought things were good.
Yeah.
We had moved to Burbank to get a townhouse, which was I think it was like 1,200 square feet.
And all of your work is in LA, right?
Yeah.
At that point,
But Georgia's getting busy. Georgia's getting busy at the time when in film. They had passed the tax incentive. It was getting big here, so it was a thing. It was a bigger and bigger scene. Sorry
to cut you off.
No, that's fine.
How does the process go for you to get a job? Like, does somebody call you and say, "Hey, we're going to run a project. It's going to be 4 weeks, and I'm going to need you all." Like, how does it work?
It's word of mouth. So you just build your network, and I always tell people your network's just like a growing tree, and you just always want to make sure that each branch of that tree is left on a positive note. And they'll say something nice about you, and you add a limb, and then you add a limb over here, you add a limb over here, and then your tree just gets bigger. And you get more and more of these calls.
So it is 100% word of mouth.
Oh yeah, we have a union. We have a list of people that are currently not working that are available. In theory, shows can call that and get that. They rarely do. They just call, hey Joe, you did your last show. Are you available? I'm not. But hey, call Aaron. He's okay. Call and then they'll call him.
Are there times where nobody, like, you go 3 weeks without getting a call?
Sure. No, there's there's times you go months, without a call, and you think the world's ending. You're like, man, I chose the wrong career, man. I'm gonna never work again. And it's scary. You're like, man, am I gonna get a call? Like, does the town hate me? Like, what's going on?
That's crazy, man. To think about, like, just not. It's not a scheduled routine thing. In LA, what projects were you working on then? Was there anything big that you had already worked on before?
Sure, yeah. So I mean, I was really, 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 really lucky to have Buck in my corner.
And Buck still does this now.
Yeah, Buck Robinson's still very, very, very busy. He's elite out there.
Really,
he's top notch. So I got really lucky there, and then he, being top notch, works with top notch guys. So he, tied me in with some more top-notch guys, and I got chances, and life's about chances. You can shit the bed, or you can grab it and run.
Yeah.
And I got lucky and got some great opportunities and ran with it. I got involved with some really, really big sound mixers. I got tied in with Bill Martell. He's the biggest commercial guy in the country. He does tons and tons of massive commercials. I got tied in with Steve Morrow. He's been nominated for a Oscar, I think 3 or 4 times now. He's huge. Steve Morantz, he's one of the biggest TV guys out there. I got really, really, really lucky. I hope I'm not leaving anybody out. If you hear this, I'm sorry. But
there's a lot to cover in 25 minutes.
Yeah, I got lucky. And then I came home one night. I was working with Bill Martell full time, just doing all commercials. We're doing 5-6 days a week. It was awesome.
Like just anything. It could be KFC one day, different day. It doesn't matter.
Pumping them out. Lion King. That was a scary one. I'll tell you about that later. We went to St. Thomas. We're doing stuff for DirecTV and the Talking Horse. It's been in 15 days
cool.
in St. Thomas chilling. It was great. I come home and my wife, who is the most docile, like just go with the flow girl you ever meet. She's sitting there in the bed. I was like, oh, something's weird, man. Something feels weird.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if I'm.
I think you might not be safe.
I was like, I don't know if she's pregnant. I don't know if I'm in trouble. I don't know, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if she crashed her car. Something's up there.
Something, yeah.
And she told me, she's like, hey, look, I'm moving home.
She's had enough.
I was like, what do you mean moving home? She's like, I want you to come with us, but if you don't, that's on you. But I'm moving home.
And are your parents still there this time?
They are.
Okay.
But her parents are still in Georgia.
Right.
And she's tired of nowhere for Wyatt to play. And
you're probably gone a lot. So
I'm gone all the time.
Her and Wyatt. Yeah, so it's her and Wyatt.
So she was like, I'm going home. I said, well, all right. So we called our realtor in Georgia. We flew home the next week, bought a house in Georgia. We rented it out for a year. While I closed up contracts in LA, and
because you're booked out.
I'm booked, and and there's just we can't just up and leave. We have a lease at the townhouse, and so we come home. And I still credit her with that was the turning point of our life. Was that in California I was making money hand over fist, or so I thought, and it was just I was like, why is our bank account just flat? It's just not going up. We're just what's happening, And then we came here. I met Whit Norris, who's a very big filmmaker here. He's done huge movies here since the 80s, and he's a big player in the market, not just in Georgia, but nationally and worldwide. He was a huge help to me. He got me on a show my first week here. It was a 9-month show. It was called The Originals for CW.
Yes.
A vampire show. 9 months a year. I did 2 seasons. So my first 2 years here, I was booked 9 months a year, which is just unheard of.
I was gonna say, I was thinking about that when you move back. Like, there's got to be a fear within you that
I have no network.
Yeah, and you built everything in LA.
I just walked away from it. I was like, oh, this is a mistake.
Was there any part of you that wanted to reach out to some of the guys and let them know, hey, I'm moving back to Atlanta. You got anybody there that I
didn't know anybody, so I did. I talked to Whit, and Whit was very, 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 very supportive, very helpful, and he was very upfront about, hey, you're going to be the new guy here, but I'll be glad to help you where I can. We have a tight knit group here in Georgia.
Yeah,
get involved, meet people, and it'll flourish. I said, okay, I hope you're right. I put a lot of faith in him, and he was right, and he helped me out every step of the way, and then I started doing some some features and.
When you say feature, like a movie?
Movies, yeah,
okay.
Movies. So yeah, we have TV and feature films, which were short. We call them features.
Which one do you prefer to work? I mean, I know either word, but which one do you enjoy the most?
So it's a loaded question. So in the old days, which has changed now, just the way we shoot. The old days, a TV show was normally 22 episodes, and it was 9 months long. So it generally paid a little less, but it was 9 months of work.
It was guaranteed, yeah.
So your whole year was covered. Like yearly nut was covered.
You take the other 3 months off and you're good.
Do what you want to do. Features are 2 to 5 months. A huge feature is 5 months. A normal one's 2-3 months.
Okay.
So you got to do 3-4 of those a year, 5 of those a year to really fill your calendar.
Okay.
Right. So features are generally a slower pace, It's more artistic. It's more of a collaborative project. TV's kind of just like a candy factory. Just boom, 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 pump it out, pump it out, pump it out, pump it out.
Really? I guess from my end, I never. I mean, I get because you look at like a Jerry Bruckheimer film, and you can tell there's a ton of money that's put into that versus say I don't know. I mean, the only thing coming to mind was Landman, but that was so great.
Well, so on that, we don't shoot TV like like we used to. Now you're shooting 8 episodes in 5 months. That's a feature pace. So now you're shooting TV like we shot movies in the old days.
Okay.
There is no more 22 episodes in 9 months. It just wouldn't happen.
I never thought about that till you said it, but it used to be you'd get 12, 16, 15 episodes. Now it's either 8 or 10 at the max.
It's quick,
that's
boom,
done.
boom, boom. Because they found now that the audience wants that quality, and they want to see a pretty picture, and they want to hear great sounds. They want the soundtrack and the sound design to be great. I think it stems mostly from let's say just 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You were watching your favorite show on a tube TV.
Yeah.
It was like this, right? And it was built in some wood cabinet bullshit. You know?
Yeah.
Now you watch it on 4K on a 65-inch screen,
surround sound.
So now if this dude's makeup isn't perfect, you see it.
Okay.
In the old days, you wouldn't notice that.
So there's a lot of attention to detail that you don't even see from a like for me from being a novice. I never even think about that stuff.
Sure. And back then, the speakers were built in that cabinet thing your parents had. You don't talk about that big wood thing.
Man, we had the old sucked. TV that the remote came out of the TV and you just had the buttons on top.
Yeah, they sucked. Now you have Sonos sound systems that cost $5,000 and you can hear a cricket a quarter mile away from the film set.
Huh.
So the quality that we make now is different. It's in my opinion a better project or a better product now than it was.
Without a doubt. I was just getting ready to say, with that change in TV, I could talk to you for hours about this because I am a music and TV and movie buff. I love it. I'd never even heard of Landman until you told me. I went and binged it.
That was awesome.
Then my wife had surgery. I made her binge it. She don't even watch shows, and she loved it.
It's great.
So, are there shows now that could rival movie budgets as far?
Sure.
Really?
Oh, sure. So I mean, I worked on 1923. The first season we did 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I think we spent over $200 million. Don't quote me because I'm not in accounting. I won't get in trouble. Paramount, don't come
just
for me.
Yes.
Don't.
I watched. It was 1893, 1923,
1883, 1923.
Yeah. So I like 23 better than 83 by far.
See, they're both great. I mean, if you're a kid of the 80s, which I am.
Yeah, me too.
You are. I mean, Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Dude, that game was badass.
100%.
Remember like the little.
Oh yeah.
Boom! Shoot a buffalo.
Oh yeah.
It was you died of gonorrhea, whatever it was.
Dysentery.
You always die of something stupid.
Yeah.
So 83 was about the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
So it just brought back so many neat stories they learned in school, and to see it on the big screen was cool. I thought.
It's so cool that you get to do this. Man.
23 was just that was my first taste of doing westerns. I've done jobs that I would travel for, but I had not done one that was in the wild, wild west, if you will. Montana is still the wild, wild west. I mean, there's still
so everything was filmed there.
Yeah. So 23 we filmed. The first season, we filmed all but 1 week in Montana. Well, that's a lie. We filmed the Montana storylines in Montana.
Okay.
The boat stuff and all, the stuff where Spencer and his fiance were traveling over from Europe.
Yep.
That was actually shot in South Africa and Malta.
Because that's technically in the show. That's kind of where he's coming from, right? Yeah.
So I mean, they shot in Africa, they shot in Malta, and they shot. So that was all a separate film crew. So the first season we had two totally separate crews. One shooting this storyline, and then we shot the Native American storyline with
The girl in the school,
with
right?
girls in the
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
We shot the storyline of the goat farmers and the cow farmers battling over land and over food because there was a drought coming and there was not as much grass.
Yeah.
It was a big fight. It's a true story. That happened.
So they went as true to the story as they could, from the Oregon Trail all the way down.
So Taylor Sheridan prides himself, and I love it. I love working for him. That he's accurate. He doesn't cut corners, and he tells stories that need to be told.
I find it so funny. Sons of Anarchy is one of my favorite shows ever.
Yeah.
And I find it ironic, and I don't know a ton about the backstory here, but essentially what I gathered is, and I'm drawing a blank on the guy, the author, the guy who wrote Sons, Kurt Sutter.
Okay.
It sounded like there was a little friction with him and Sheridan wanted to be a bigger role, and it didn't sound like Kurt had the faith in him. But I feel like just from watching interviews that he took everything he could learn from that, and man, he's so good to have so many projects going at one time, and all of Landman.
Awesome.
Yellowstone.
Awesome.
1923. Lioness.
Awesome.
Dude, was great.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you're talking
Tulsa King. Awesome.
I've only seen. I don't know if there's one. Is it just one season?
2 seasons.
Okay, so I've only seen one season. Tulsa King.
Rumor is they're shooting a 3rd season soon.
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
But no, there's just some really really good shows out of that camp.
What do you think his best show is?
That's a hard question.
What is your favorite show of his?
I mean, it's 1883, which I didn't work on.
Yeah.
But my dearest friends and colleagues did.
Yeah.
That was a great one. So the sound mixer on that was Rich Bullock. He's a dear friend of mine.
Are they from around here?
So Rich is he lives in L.A. and in Texas.
Gotcha.
He's just a gem.
Yeah.
Him and Kelly Lewis shot out 1883, and then they came out to Atlanta to shoot The Color Purple, and I was hired
The
on
movie?
that. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's a this is gonna sound just I'm kind of looted, but Steve Morrow was hired to shoot The Color Purple, and do
Because it was a remake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a full musical. That's Steve Morrow's wheelhouse.
Gotcha.
He couldn't do all of it because he was starting another movie right after. So Richard Bullock, who's a fellow sound mixer and good friends with Steve, came on as the utility. I was the boom guy on it, and then when Steve had to leave, Rich started to mix it, and we brought in Kelly Lewis, who's Rich's longtime utility. So we just meshed really well.
And is that common?
No, not really.
No?
It was a weird deal. That was a Color Purple was during COVID. It was the whole mask era. It was things were. It was just a weird show. I loved it. It was probably one of my favorite experiences in film. The cast was just, star-studded top to bottom. How it didn't win a Oscar for 10 categories, I will never understand. It was just great. But after that, Rich was very, very generous with me, and he offered me 23 in Montana. I said, man, that's awesome. I would love to do it.
Yeah.
So off we went, and that's how I got involved with the Sheridan camp.
So you taking over for a guy that had to leave, you kind of mesh it all together. They like you, and
then off to the races.
Is that completely separate from the movie side, or are some of these guys doing both?
Everyone does both, but there's a few guys that are really locked into features.
Like Taylor Sheridan is pretty much TV shows at this point.
Sure,
correct?
but he's talented enough that he can write anything. And nowadays we don't shoot TV like we used to. Now TV is shot like like features. There's huge money in it. There's the value on set is there now. We don't rush and just pump it out. They're hiring gaffers who are in charge of lighting. They're hiring key grips who are in charge of shaping that light. they're hiring bigwigs. I mean, they're hiring big time feature gaffers and key grips and sound mixers and DPs and every aspect of that show is big time talent that's known for doing big features nowadays. And it's just shifted.
Would you say, and not to I'm a competitive person, right? So I don't know, I won't do it out loud, but I often look at, maybe somebody else that is above me or below me and where I need to be or what I need to improve. Would you say, like, in this area that you're one of the top, guys in the sound realm?
I never think about it, to be honest.
Well, you're getting a lot of good work, and that's usually a representation like...
The way I see it is I'm extremely fortunate to be where I am, and I leave it at that. I've gotten some just unbelievable opportunities to work on some massive projects, and I've just been so thankful for it. Are there guys as talented as I am? Of course there are. Are there guys that are more talented? Of course there are. But I've gotten some great opportunities, and I've done well with what I've been given. And I leave it at that. I don't want to try to do the ranking system of who's who's where.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think that's fair. It's tough because in sound it's a 3-man team. There's one sound mixer. There's one boom guy. There's one utility. So I don't work with boom guys. So I don't know how good they are because I don't ever work with them.
You typically do the sound mixing?
I boom operate mostly.
Yeah.
I've mixed on some projects. I've mixed on some second units.
And then what exactly does a utility guy do?
Everything. Hence the name. If the sound mixer has to go to the restroom or falls ill during the day or whatever, he's gonna mix. If we have a scene that needs 2 boom operators, he's gonna boom operate.
So he literally is a utility guy,
and he's gonna put wires on every actor. He or she, we have some very, 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 very talented female, sound utilities out there and boom operators. So I don't want to be, I don't want to back in that corner of saying it's just males.
Yeah.
But the sound utility is a tough job, and you have to be in every actor's face, putting wires under their wardrobe, which is intimate. You're in their face. Then you have to, as soon as the wiring's done, you have to shift. Now, am I booming with the main boom guy? Am I just gonna watch and wait? How are the batteries in the transmitters?
Okay.
How are the antennas? How's the RF signal? Do we have video to the sound mixer's cart? Do we have power? They're always working. It is the hardest job.
That sounds like a lot of things that could also go wrong.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And it's your fault.
100%. Especially if you got actors on set and they're we're humans. We don't always have good days, bad days, whatever.
Sure.
But you don't want to be the cause of the bad day.
No, it is your fault. So it's a tough job, and it's generally the stepping stone to boom operating, and then. Some guys just choose just to ride out booming for their whole career. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being on set. I enjoy that there's some just kind of physicality to it.
Yeah.
And then some move up to mix, and then it's a different path.
For sure. What would you and we'll close this out. I try to keep them under 30 minutes, but
sure.
I could talk to you for 3 hours about this.
Episode 9 coming up.
What would you say is your favorite moment that you've ever had on set?
Man, my favorite moment on set.
Or even maybe your favorite project that you've ever worked on.
They're all awesome in so many ways. I mean, we have to go back to, again, with Buck Robinson. My first show I worked on that was a big show. It was called Hit the Floor.
Hit the Floor.
It was awesome.
What was it? I don't think I've ever seen it.
It was a show that it was a take on like the Laker girls.
Okay.
But we couldn't have the name Laker girls.
Sure.
So I can't remember what the team was called. It was called the Fire, I think, something like that. But it was a basketball and cheerleading show. It was awesome. And it was tough. It was a hard show. I was the sound utility at the time.
Yeah.
Cole Bluma was the boom operator, and Buck was mixing. And just the camaraderie and the being exposed to the big leagues, if you will, for the first time was just awesome. I was like, man, this is
starstruck a little bit, like.
I mean, I don't think I've ever been starstruck because it's just colleagues at that point. You're you're at work, but just being thrusted into the big leagues. This is a big show. This is a union show. This is not some little small time thing I've done in the past. This is
big time.
Like I've made it.
Have there never you've never not the fanboy, but you've never been on set and like, Denzel walks by or Will Smith walks by and you're like, holy fuck, that's.
No, because they're not that person on set. They're
character.
They're just working.
Okay.
And they don't want to be messed with.
Yeah.
Like, just like like you and I don't want to be messed with. They're at work. And, and you realize real quick when you're at work, they're at work also.
Yeah.
And we're all here to do a job and to make money.
That's exactly how it is for us on the memorabilia side. In the beginning, don't get me wrong, like my first couple times, I was like, fucking Ray Lewis arms are huge.
Yeah, but I've seen you here with Brett Favre.
Yeah, but you get
it.
Yeah, you get used to it after a while.
He's business.
He's a regular guy, and they want to be treated that way. But
of course,
like I said, my first time, and the only guy I've never met that I think would just make me not be able to communicate well would be Michael Jordan. Because the aura about him, everything I've heard is just like, even NBA guys that I've talked to, they're like, dude, it's just different when he walks in.
I would ask for his shoes off his feet and taking like nonstop pictures.
Oh yeah,
dude, I got Jordan worn shoes.
But and
I'm sure he'd be like, dude, you want my shoes?
Go
away.
He's such a big guy, but I think it's pretty much the same. But I mean, it's so weird because in my industry, like, I don't look at it, when we meet an athlete or whatever. It's really cool. Most of the time I go nowadays is just to get content for my guys.
Sure.
So that they can repost it on their social medias and they, but I don't really do it anymore for me. I had an opportunity to meet a guy, 2 weeks ago, long time Panther, guy that I really, really,
was it Cam Newton? Was it Cam?
Nah, it was Steve
Cam?
Smith.
Okay.
Cam, we did it in Atlanta a couple times. But I just didn't go. I was just like, he's just coming to work. Like, I've got to go to the shop.
I'm gonna flip the script here. I'm gonna ask you questions.
Absolutely, I like it.
For like 2 minutes,
yeah,
maybe
yeah.
So maybe 5 minutes. Maybe
I promise
maybe five.
I give you a solid 2 minutes.
Dude, why the hell are you a Panthers fan?
So I grew up in North Carolina. Fayetteville.
No excuse though.
So I'll explain to you. This is a great story. I'm glad you said that. I haven't had a chance.
It's the Panthers.
You'll understand after this. So
better be good.
Before 1995, Carolina didn't have a team. And my name was Joe, and the 49ers were good at that time. So I was a 49ers fan.
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of money, and this was the time when starter jackets were cool as fuck.
Yeah,
I'm talking,
the puffy ones. Yeah.
So
yeah. I had Falcons and Braves. I rocked those things.
And I never had one. Well, I did. Let me tell you. So my godparents, which I talked about on my last episode, Claudette and Bill, they got me for Christmas one time, and I came to their house and on Bill, and they didn't have a shitload of money either.
Sure.
It wasn't like, but on the chair, they didn't realize I was a 49ers fan. On the chair, they had a Panthers starter jacket.
Nice.
They got me for Christmas, and I was so fucking proud to have that jacket. I wore that sumbitch until the elbows had holes in it, until it was too short for me. But when I started going to school, and everybody's like, I thought you were a 49ers fan. The Panthers just started selling merch, but they didn't have a team yet. I was so proud to have that jacket. Like, I would defend me wearing that jacket all the time. And, it just became that point where it was like, man, that's the only NFL gear that I have. I'm a Panthers fan. And so that for me, I'm if she doesn't give me that starter jacket, I still might be a 49ers fan. But being homegrown and being so proud to have that thing, like, that was it for me.
So next question about sports. I've always wondered this.
Yeah.
So the Braves.
Yep.
The team of the people.
Yep.
Because of TBS.
100%.
Anybody nationwide could go to Channel 7
and watch it
at 7:05
Yep.
p.m. 6 days a week and watch the Braves, right? If Turner would have made a deal with the Falcons and put the Falcons on TBS
Oh, they would have had a
nationwide,
massive following. Yeah.
what would have happened?
They might have been America's team.
You think so?
Yeah, but for me, like you're 100% right. It's all localized as far as NFL teams go. But think about where's the next closest team. South Carolina doesn't have a team. Alabama doesn't have a team. North Carolina doesn't have a team. Tennessee doesn't have a team. Kentucky doesn't have a team. I mean, the Braves were all we saw and all we watched. 100% they would have had more. Especially, they were really good in the 90s. Deion Sanders was electric. Like Michael Vick 10 years later. Yeah, 100%. They would have had more, but just like the Falcons do, they just make poor choices.
Poor choices.
Yeah.
So I mean, the Braves were terrible in the day. I mean, they were dreadful
For sure.
I mean, you could call the Braves Stadium, not really, but you'd call them and say, hey, what's our game time? They would say, so. I mean, just tell us.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you have like 5 votes coming. We'll change the time for you. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but it was close. You know.
So I grew up when I remember it is when like Mark Lemke and Sid Bream and those guys early 91, 92,
so
93.
91's when suddenly got good.
Yeah.
And in the 80s, my dad and I mean, I was a baseball nut all growing up. I played since I was 3 years old. I stopped in high school. Right?
Yeah.
I love baseball. We watched every game. They were awful.
Really?
But if my dad, who's a stockbroker at the time, was in New York or Texas or wherever he might be, Channel 7 at 7:05.
And I never thought about that.
It was
You
on.
said it.
And they sucked. And they would lose, and you would know they would lose. But 7:05 was Braves time.
Yeah.
You know? And I always wondered, why in the hell did the Falcons not make that deal with Turner and say, hey, put us on
It was
TBS?
one of the greatest deals the Braves made.
It was silly.
Braves, at least for me in my area, were by far the favorite team. I mean, all we had was the Durham Bulls in North Carolina and the Braves.
It's still that way. They are
Well,
still.
they made it so hard, like Bally Sports and all this shit. Now you got to have
Bally's wrecked
7.
it.
You got to have 7 channels to watch the Braves
But-
now.
So we went to a Nationals game, lay up there.
Yeah.
2 years ago. So Wyatt and I and my wife Hannah try to go to a stadium each year, which sucks because the point you made, there's no stadiums near here.
No.
It's Tampa Bay, which is 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
In Miami, which is
10, 11.
bullshit stadium anyway,
Yeah.
so who cares? The nearest one was the Nationals.
In D.C.?
There's what else? I mean, Cincinnati maybe. I mean, there's
Fuck, I didn't think
there's
about
nothing here. There's nothing close. So we went up there to the
New Orleans, Louisiana doesn't have one either, do they?
No, so it was a spring break. So we went up to the Nat Stadium. We stayed next door. It was badass on the roof of the hotel. You can watch the game.
Dude, that's awesome.
I got tickets. We went and saw all the sites, all the stuff. But the point is, at the game, it was like 75% Braves fans at the National Stadium. I was
100%.
like, holy shit! And every Braves game you watch on the road, maybe it's just camera work. A lot of Braves fans. It's still that way.
I still think outside, you got LA, you got a couple other big teams. I think Atlanta dominates the entire Southeast. Like,
well, yeah.
There's just nothing else there. And the fact that they in the 90s, dude, they were the team. Didn't get as many, they only got 1 ring, I believe. Should have best pitching staff of all time, in my opinion.
Maddox, Smoltz,
Glavine.
Glavine, Avery, Wohlers.
You had like Wohlers coming out of the bullpen. Yeah, John Rocker at one point before he got crazy was
he got a little nuts.
but yeah, it was a good. Those were some good questions, man. I never thought about it.
You watch Southbound and Down?
Uh-uh.
You don't watch Southbound and Down?
I don't even know what it is.
Southbound and Down is the best show about sports in the history of mankind.
Southbound and Down.
Yeah, so it's a fictional character who is a heat-throwing, just badass pitcher who lives the life that me and you would live if we were that guy. Let's be honest.
What channel is it on?
It's like 10 years old. It's
never even heard.
on.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
So it is the story of John Rocker. It is John Rocker to a T.
100%. I love it.
And he gets tossed out of baseball. He makes like appearances at like car dealerships and like like if I throw 85 miles an hour, everyone gets $1,000 out their car. Shut that dude. Watch it. Watch
Text
that
it to me
down.
because you've told me Landman, you told me Lioness, and both of them were amazing. And I'm getting ready to watch Paradise.
Paradise is great. Paradise is on Hulu. It's awesome.
Is it all out right now? Every episode?
I think so because
you know how sometimes they release them one month.
Well, no, it was week by week, but I was late to the party.
Okay.
My wife found my wife is. I work in film. I watch what the wife tells me to watch, and she's a fantastic critic.
I need her. I need picks for her because I run out of shit to watch, man.
Southbound and Down. You can binge that. That's like I think 3 or 4 seasons. It gets kind of weird, like season 4, but the first 3 are phenomenal.
I love it. I love a good show, man. I like movies, but lately I don't know.
Eastbound and Down. I'm an idiot. Eastbound and Down.
I'll have to check it out.
Eastbound and Down.
I'll have to check it out 100%.
A great show.
But Charles, man, you're entertaining, brother. I could I've picked your brain at the store many times about stuff like this.
Let's do it again.
100%. I appreciate you having you on, man.
Yeah,
we'll have to get White on here one day.
Oh Lord,
that'd be good.
We'll have the beep.
He sounds exactly like his dad, just hasn't hit puberty yet, so his voice ain't as deep.
The beep ready, just ready.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. This is the Cruz Report, episode number 8, I believe. I'm running out of. I'm gonna have to write it down somewhere, otherwise I'm gonna mess it up for sure. Brought to you by Creative Brands. Thank you guys so much for being on our team. We will definitely, I think we'll probably put in some different content here for episode 9. I believe we're going to do a little in-shop stuff. So I appreciate you guys. You guys follow, like, subscribe. Again, thanks to Creative Brands. You guys have a great day.